The common denominator of everything that happens in the world is, does it serve the agenda of this global cult that I've been exposing for 30 years? Or does it not serve the agenda? If it serves the agenda, it is supported, it is not banned, it is not suppressed, it is promoted in the media, and it is allowed to happen, indeed encouraged to happen. If it does not promote or support the agenda, indeed challenges it, then it's not supported, it's suppressed, it's silenced, it's demonized. So, the agenda is served by people acquiescing to house arrest and to doing what the government tells them to do in fine detail with regard to this pandemic. It is not served by people protesting against that. And so that is demonized, suppressed, etc. But the foundation of the few controlling the many, at any time in human history, it's a fundamental foundation of everything. You must divide and rule the many. So it serves the agenda of divide and rule to have people under house arrest and everyone kept apart. It serves them with social distancing where everyone is kept apart, divide. It serves them to have people wearing masks, which means that human discourse and interaction is destroyed. So, social distancing, masks, house arrest must happen. But hold on a second. It also serves the agenda of divide and rule to have massive racial division. What has happened, well, almost out of nowhere, since these protests and riots began in the wake of the George Floyd situation? It has driven people apart. It is dividing society. Now that serves the agenda. And so social distancing, masks, house arrest is followed by no social distancing in the riots and the protests, but because both serve the agenda of divide, you have this apparent contradiction of social distancing imposed and then social distancing completely ignored. It's not a problem. But there's a common denominator between the two. They both serve the agenda of dividing and ruling the population. And this was captured, Brian, so perfectly in one of the most ludicrous documents I've ever seen. And it was in the last week when about 1,000 doctors and medical people and others signed a letter when the protests and the riots began. And they said, these protests, brackets, including riots, should not be stopped because of the danger of the infectious nature of COVID-19. Because it's more important that these protests take place and be allowed to take place than what they claim is an infectious disease. I don't accept that, but they do. And in this same letter they said, but this does not mean there should be a permissive attitude and acceptance of other protests, particularly, it said, protests against stay-at-home orders. So in that one letter, you had this ridiculous contradiction that it's okay to protest without social distancing, but only if you protest here against this, but other protests it's not. It's still dangerous. And you think that is crazy. Crazy. How can they justify that? Serves the agenda. Serves the agenda. That's what's going on. And so, in this year of extraordinary happenings, we now have the first woke virus. The first one in human history. A woke virus that says, if you protest against this, I'll leave you alone. But if you protest against that, I'm coming for you. And of course that's ludicrous, but you've got to see this common denominator. And if people take this and look at the world from this perspective, the common theme is, does it serve the agenda or does it not? They will see across the great spectrum of human society how what is allowed and encouraged and promoted serves the agenda, and what is suppressed, demonized and prevented challenges the agenda. It's so simple, and that's why on the face of it we're seeing madness, but if you come here, there's method in the madness.